Good morning. Come on in, find a seat. If you didn't know it, you are a ballroom. All right, I'm just going to do it this way because I'm a big mouth and I can yell. If you didn't know you're a ballroom C, this is the anything track. If that's not where you want to be, tough. We're locking the doors, you're stuck. You guys know the drill. Don't block the fire exits. Make sure your cell phones are on silent or turned off entirely. I wore boots today. Don't make me use them. It's that simple. All right, you get the idea. So we're in here. We're talking corporate security strategies, what organizations are doing to secure their networks, and we're going to combine it with surfing. So I'm actually interested to see how this comes together. All right, y'all, give it up. This is Chris Burrows.
Thank you. So I only have about 25 minutes, so about 15 slides. I really want to talk to you a little bit about how surfing relates to security and my experiences over the last 30 years from security and probably the last 4 years from surfing. And there's a lot of analogies that go along with this track. So really, we are in security to help our organizations protect their data, their people, their brand. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what you could do for your organization to then follow those creeds that as security people we're basically following for our organizations. That's why we get paid. So the agenda. Plan the work the plan. Tools, why they matter. Actions, practice makes perfect, or at least better. Have fun. Find other people that share your passion, because I think the most successful people in security are the passionate ones. I interview people every single week, whether they're for my team, the company, or for other organizations that we work with. And if I can't see passion in that person that I'm talking to, they automatically get put in the other pile. Because I don't think you could do this job if you're not passionate about it. It's not a 9-to-5 job. And then reflect on the past, learn, and find some new challenges, which I call the waves. So here's my labels. I've been a leader my entire life, whether it's the captain of the football team, president of a fraternity, coach, blah, blah, blah. I like the leadership positions. I like teamwork. I like to learn. I've gotten my MBA, my CISSP. Those are things I needed to do to make it into the corporate world and get the CISO position. So I've been a CISO for 12 years until I joined CBI. We're a cybersecurity consulting company. What I do really is go help organizations look at their strategy, if they have one. If they don't, build one. I look at their teams, look at their technologies, look at their tools, along with the entire portfolio of what CBI offers, and we put them on the right path. So, basically, I've been doing cyber since 1993. Started off as a Unix admin, doing that, then I broke into my first computer probably before then, but in the corporate world, broke into my first one within the first week of my job and trying to secure those kind of machines. I got the bug. They didn't really have a security title, but I was a Unix admin for quite some time. Moved to the networking team, did some development. Then I was an Oracle DBA for 14 years, and then in 2006 switched over to a CISO role, and had been doing that up until last year. So I think I'm qualified to talk a little bit about the technology side, and then also about making organizational change, because you could have the greatest technology, the greatest code, the greatest ideas, but if you can't communicate that well, you're going to sit in your cube and you're going to have great ideas and you're going to talk about it at the bar and say you can do all these great things, but if you're not helping your company, you're not doing your job. You're creating cool technology and doing things for fun, but ideally, as passionate people, we want to bring the value to our organizations and grow ourselves and help protect the company. So, I think before you can help the company, you have to understand what the strategy is of the business. Every culture is a bit different. Every business functions in a different way. Some are more risky. Some are less risky. So understanding what the drivers are for the company helps you frame your messaging. And until you understand what the business goals are, you really can't put an effective strategy in place. Whether you're the CISO or the admin or the network director, you also have to understand what your superiors are doing, and you have to communicate that down to what your direct reports are doing. It all goes together, whether you're an endpoint guy, a network person, a developer. They all have to be seamless, because all it takes is one crack in the portfolio and the strategy, and then your name or your organization is in bad light in the paper. And when I joined Oakland County as their CISO in 2013, my whole premise was keep Oakland County off the front page of the paper. I knew I was the fall guy. I was a security consultant brought on to assess and build a program for Oakland County. There was nothing there before I showed up. I was the fall guy. It was my brand. But most importantly, it was L. Brooks Patterson, who was the county executive, and his entire portfolio that he built. It was all dependent on a security breach. He preached, we are one of the best in the country. I didn't want my name to tarnish Oakland County's image. So I took that to heart, very passionate about it. I looked at what they had to do. I went and talked to all 23 directors of what I call the kingdoms inside Oakland County, and found out what their business drivers were. The prosecutor, the sheriff, the medical examiner, all these people, and find out what they are trying to achieve from their business. Then I could properly build the strategy around it. I came from a manufacturing background, also worked in utility and finance. Different type of cultures, different type of mandates. In the manufacturing world, it was whatever the CEO said at the time, followed suit. In Oakland County, it was whatever these 23 kingdoms decided to do within their kingdoms, that's how they ran their business. Totally different environment. I would not be effective if I used the same strategy at the manufacturing company than I would if I had at the government, because in manufacturing, the CEO says yes, everybody follows suit. At the county, one person has an argument, and then I have to go have 23 different conversations with 23 different people and potentially 23 different solutions. It's a different type of strategy you have to roll out. So understanding that will help you build what's most valuable for your culture. I suggest selecting a framework. Just pick a framework that works best in your industry. Whether it's a NIST framework, a CIS 20, the ISO, finding out what works best in your sector, because you're going to want to compare, or at least your leaders are going to want to compare what you're doing to what the county's doing, or if it's a manufacturing company, what are they doing? How are they comparing to you? Everybody wants to be a little bit above average or better than most, but they don't want to overspend. It's your job to make sure you put them in a position where they want to be. Nobody wants to be the underspender, and nobody wants to overspend and be laughed at basically by their peers and say, why are you investing all this information and resources? It's not needed. So you have to balance it. That's how it kind of equates to surfing. I had been doing lots of team sports until I was in my early 40s, playing basketball and football. As I said, I really like team sports. But then I started tearing my calves and my Achilles tendons tore, so I had to kind of give up playing sports. I had to switch to something new, so I switched to wakeboarding. Well, switching to wakeboarding when you're 42, it's hard on your body. So these epic wipeouts that I was taking as I'm going 35 miles an hour, 7 feet in the air, made coming to Monday morning work pretty hard. So about 4 years ago, I switched to surfing. If you haven't seen wake surfing, you go about 11 miles an hour. You can actually drink a beer while you're surfing. You can hang out. You can talk to somebody on the boat. You play the music. It's a lot of fun. It made going to work on Monday mornings a lot easier, but I had to learn how to balance, because when I first stepped on a surfboard, it was way different than a wakeboard. I would just fall over. And until I started practicing, I would have these epic wipeouts that my friends enjoyed, but I didn't enjoy so much. So there's a balance there. So here, understanding the top management support, understanding what your landscape looks like to figure out what the right type of balance you can play in your environment. You have to also understand your expectations. So what's the wave that you want to ride? It all depends on your culture. And you'll see later in the deck when I talk about what works best, it's about people. Little picture of Jerry Maguire, one of my favorite movies. Relationships matter. Your career, your organization could depend on one person. And it's that one person that you have a relationship with that can make or break the brand of your company or yourself. So I found building relationships is the most important thing to do when you're talking about information security. I never found myself to be a salesperson until I got on the sales side of things, but I figured as a CISO, I'm actually one of the ultimate salespeople, because I have to impact change in an organization that does not want to change, and it makes it sometimes harder, but for good reasons. So you have to be able to communicate that to make people change the way they've been doing business for 30 years. It's a difficult job. And sometimes it's an extra task, but there's a benefit. Once you understand that, you can use those relationships to position your message. Another great movie in the 90s. So this is, the whole movie is fun for me, but it's about positioning your message. So Billy Hoyle is basically a hustler in basketball. If you haven't seen White Men Can't Jump, it's a great movie. He goes out and he just hustles the street and wins a lot of money doing this. But it's a balance about how he's positioning himself. He has these gray socks, long shirt, baggy shorts, a hat backwards, not what you typically see on a basketball court. I grew up playing basketball on the east side of Detroit. I never saw a guy like that playing basketball with. If it was anybody, it was probably me that looked like that guy playing basketball. So it was positioning myself or positioning your message to be able to get in and win your objectives. So tools. I see people, processes, and technologies as tools. They're all components to a business outcome, and I always focus on people. I think with the right people, you can make the biggest impact. Just like with the right wave, you can have your ride the longest or it could be the shortest. So this is kind of some transitions between surfing and security. If you don't have the right people or the right wave, you're not going to surf long and you're not going to last long. So what you can do is find the right people, make the right wave that you can ride long. How do you do that? Understand what your processes are. So the speed of the wave matters. The height of the wave matters. And the weight of the boat that you're behind makes a huge difference in the wave that it creates. So understanding what components make up the processes is the next most important step. Technology is the tools that you actually use to create that business outcome. So for me, it's the boat, it's the surfboard. I've got boards that have a 1-inch fin and only one of them. I've got boards that have 4-inch fins with 5-inch depth. They're used for different things. If I want to spin, I use the board with a small little fin. If I want to go super fast and jump out of the wave, I use the 5 or the 4 fin board. Different things for different outcomes. Just like at your job, if you want to communicate something with finance, talk to them about what matters in finance, getting records cleaner, having faster access to anywhere, understanding what makes it easier for them to do their job makes the difference. But always focus on the people. Decisions, one of my favorite things. So how do these things kind of relate together? So when you're going to the store and you're going to look for an apple, how much time do you take to make that decision whether you're going to get this apple or that apple? Probably not much decision, right? You look for any bad spots, I'm going to buy it. You know why? Because it costs you less than $1, and the impact of getting this apple over that apple, impact is the key word, is not much, right? Not much of a difference. Okay, think about you're going to redo your kitchen. How much does it cost you to redo a kitchen? Between 20 and 50 grand. Maybe you're going to think a little bit harder. You're going to interview some you're going to interview some contracting companies, take some recommendations. You're going to put more time into the decision because there's a bigger impact to you. Just like in your organization. Some decisions you can make really quick, and you shouldn't spend much time thinking about those. Others, there's a long play. Think about those long play decisions and get feedback from other people. There's a bigger impact here when you're thinking about things. And the last is a scalpel. I've had, 8 or 9 surgeries throughout my life. And I had interviewed people. I got recommendations from doctors. I looked at recovery time, whether to have a surgery or not have a surgery. And sometimes I elected not to have a surgery and do physical therapy because the impact of my life was too big to have that one surgery. But you put a lot more time and thought into the impact of a surgery than you would over buying an apple. Just like in your job, think about the impact that these decisions that you're making every single day can impact you and your organization. What I find when I talk to a lot of people is they fail to take an action. And I say change is okay. I would rather have someone make a decision, take a step, and realize it's the wrong step, and then take a side step. You've actually made some progress. It may not be the most effective progress, but in life you think you have this very straight line, and you don't. You have this jagged line. And why do you have this jagged line? Because you're making decisions. But you're progressing. Typically you don't start here and go down. You're making decisions that are impactful and that you are trying to achieve something. So making a decision is okay. Being the chief no officer is not okay. Locking everything down. Don't do this. You can't do this. Being the fear monger doesn't work. You're going to be booted out and not listened to, and people are smart. That's why we've survived, because we're smart and we are innovative. We find ways around processes. We find ways around guards. We find ways around systems that are put in place to control us. Humans exist because we're innovative. And if someone wants to do a job that you put all these protections in, they're going to do it probably in a more insecure way than originally planned because you put all these controls in. So don't do it. Have the conversation. Be a negotiator. I have an example when I tried to get the sheriff to do something. And he said, I'm in a locked building. I've got 2 deputies in front of my office with guns. I have a gun or 2 guns. No one's going to mess with me kind of mentality. Well, are you here at 6 o'clock at night? No. People have access. The cleaning crew has access to your data, has access to your files, has access to your computer. Let's wrap a couple controls around there. And then once I started negotiating about locking your files in, having a tighter screensaver window, certain things that I thought were important to me, he said, that sounds reasonable, no problem. And then I had him forever. Every other decision I wanted to take, he felt that I understood, took the time, as a technologist, is what he looked at me as, an IT guy, to go over there, understand his point of view. I communicated my point of view, and we had a happy outcome. It was great. But having that solution negotiation mentality will get you far. Also, understanding what your peers are doing. I talk to CISOs every week, and as soon as I say, you know, your competitors are doing X, Y, and Z, they start to lean in a little bit more. They want to know what their competitors are doing from a security standpoint. Are they keeping par? Are they doing more? Are they doing less? Because ultimately, their bosses are going to be talking, oh, you're not doing X? You're not looking at threat intel? We found some great things. We found this, and we did this, and we did that. Always look at your peers for great ideas. You don't need to come up with the ideas yourselves. Use the people that you have in your network, the people down the street. I found that I spent the first 7 years of my life in security focusing. I was in an international company, so I talked with my peers within my own company. And I only got as good as those peers in my own company. Once I left and started talking to tier 1 suppliers, healthcare CISOs, all these other type utility CISOs, they had great ideas that I hadn't even thought of because it wasn't in my vertical, but they were probably good ideas that transitioned to my new role. So I leveraged those ideas. I took PowerPoints and said, I'm just going to change the name, wrapped a couple new boxes in there and say, I'm going to use your stuff. And they were happy to give it to me. And likewise, I shared with them. I would go to their team meetings and talk to their team about how they can better improve their security. So these lessons learned across even verticals are helpful. But also, keep in mind that you have to not blindly follow everything that one organization tells you. Use your own brain. You know best what will work in your organization. And if you don't, ask questions. You can't just say, take the direction of your superiors and say, this is what you must do. Well, you could, but I suggest that you don't. I say, always have a counter argument and say, well, what if he did it this way? Or this makes sense, but have you considered this? Just blindly following this protocol, in my opinion, you're doing yourself and your organization a disservice. Practice makes perfect, or at least better. I don't think we get to perfect, but at least better. And I always say start small. So you can't change the entire organization, and there's for all security controls, and come in and say, here, we did an assessment, there are 700 bad things that we're doing. Starting tomorrow, we're going to change everything. That just doesn't work. But start at something small that you can have a positive change for a low cost and a quick turnaround time with a big impact. I always use time, cost, and impact as my decision points when I'm doing security. Is it cheap? Is it easy? And is there a big impact? If I can find those things, those are great quick wins. I'll do those all day long. Then you start to build your case. It's a good strategy to take that's made it effective for me in my career. Again, learn from others and teach. I think preparing for things like this, talking to people, you'll have a friend for life. I've mentored people inside my company. I've mentored people outside my company. When you are put on the pedestal to teach someone, you actually have to research a little bit more and figure out do you really know this topic? You may think you know this topic, but it may change in the last 10 years. And you're like, I used to know DNS pretty well. But man, I haven't really kept up with it. I know DNS. Everybody knows DNS. But really, attacks have changed. Things have changed. Methods have changed. Technology has come out. There's tool changes. Things have definitely evolved. So if you're in a position where you actually have to you're the expert, you have to go out and teach somebody. I actually had to go out and do my own upkeep, refreshes of certain things. But you'll definitely have a friend for life. I've got friends here that I've mentored, and we're good buddies now. So I'm learning from them, which I taught them things 12 years ago. My direct reports, probably every single job, I still keep in touch with. And we share family stories, and we share professional stories. And I'm learning from them, and they're learning from me. So it's fantastic. And then write down your goals. This picture is, I had a wrist surgery back in 2011. And I had 2 surgeries on my wrist. The first one failed. The second one, I had to have a full reconstruction of my wrist. And the doctor said, you shouldn't lift anything more than 225 pounds. And I still work out today. I've worked out since I was 19. I go 4 to 5 days a week, and I've done that for 30 years consistently because that's what I like to do. There's a couple things that I'm passionate about. One is information security. 2 is working out. And then I picked up surfing in the last 4 years, but working out is my jam. I love doing it. I feel great about it. You'll see in the slide deck. But I've got goals. I've written down my goals, how much I weighed, how much I lifted since 1993. It was in paper format up until 2003, and now it's digital. So I can go back and tell you on October 5th of 2007 what I was doing, how much I was deadlifting, how much I was bench pressing, how much I weighed, yada, 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 because that's what I'm passionate about. I like to teach people. I've had one workout partner that stuck with me the last 5 years. I've probably had 50 workout partners since 19. But this is the guy that we ride to the gym together every day, and we hang out. We're great friends. We're passionate about it. We push each other. And I found that he's probably my best friend now because we're passionate about something. And we love to do the same thing from the workout perspective. It's great. But without writing it down, I would never have achieved this, which was my personal best. I deadlifted this, which is 510 pounds a month ago. Prior to this summer, I had only done 470 the most. And I had hurt my back when I tried to do more. And I would re-evolve and try it again. And then finally I said, you know what, it's not worth it. One day I felt great. I went into the gym and I put on some, what did I put on? I don't know, some crazy rock music, White Zombie. And I went in there and I felt great and I pulled up 510. So to me, that was cool. I'm proud of it. I'm passionate about it. This is something else. So while surfing, it's light out longer. I'm drinking more beer. And I'm eating more bad food because we're staying out later on the weekends. So I put on 10 pounds over the summertime. Even though I continued working, I was putting more calories in and more calories burned. So I said, okay, fatty, time to burn some calories to get at it. So I said, I want to get down to 185. I was up to 196. I said, I'm going to give myself 50 days. Well, today is day 35. So I stepped on the scale yesterday. I got down to my goal in 34 days. And primarily it's because I exercised 40 minutes a day. Every single day for 34 days. And I ate eggs with broccoli and hot sauce for breakfast every day, 2 cups of coffee and a protein shake. And it sounds kind of gross maybe to you, but I feel phenomenal. I've got so much energy that I'm not putting potato chips in. I'm not eating ice cream. I'd grab a cookie for my kids. I would do all these things that I'm working out 5 days a week. I can have that. Well, what happens if you keep doing that? You put on 10 pounds and you're not happy about it. But writing down the right goal got me to my objective. 2 minutes left. So, all right, so 2 more objectives, I think. Keep it simple. I'm a huge fan of the power of 3. If you can whittle down your message to 3 things you want to do, you'll achieve those 3 things. If you have more than 3, most likely you're not going to accomplish those as quickly as you probably could. So focus on the power of 3. It's a great marketing message. People can remember 3 things. You should do it. What's in it for them? When you're speaking with people, especially about cyber, always include what's in it for them. You'll get their attention, and you'll probably be a lot more successful. Focus on the strengths of the people in your organization. There's a lot of people that have great strengths that we never leverage. Do it. Passion is contagious. Hang out with people that are passionate about the topics, whether they're in your company or outside your company. That's why you're here probably. Hang out with more passionate people. And execute. I call it GSD, get shit done. Find others that are passionate. We have less than a 6 degree of Kevin Bacon in IT security. It's a 1 degree of Kevin Bacon in information security. You know everybody, or at least know somebody that knows everybody. Walk around here. You can't walk around without just doing this, handshaking people, especially the people that have been here for a long time. So find people that give you energy, hang out with them, you grow, and you keep feeding your passion. Some days you feel like this. Security's not easy. Some days you want to take a break and just chill. That's okay. Take that day, re-energize, get back at it. Reflecting on the past. So review yourself quarterly. Look at yourself. Look at your org. Have you made progress? Are you trending up? Are you trending down? Do yourself some positive marketing. People don't do that enough. Celebrate with your team. They need the support. They need your help. They need to understand that their passion is making a difference. I'm telling you, that they'll run through brick walls for you. Some strong teams can overcome obstacles. If you can tell, I like movies in the 80s. This is Breaking. The rules. Culture rules everything. People can make it or break it. Scope. Doing the small, simple things. The 3 things that matter. Focus on them. Continue to network and do community work. Look for new challenges. We grow when we're stretched and keep learning. So, sorry I'm out of time, but I'll be around the CBI booth in the Vendor Expo. If you want to chat with me, I'm very passionate about what we do and what I do. I'd love to talk to you guys more if you have some questions on your goals and your organizations. Thank you.